Aquarius, what's up? What I was seeing in the pre-shuffle was you having a bit of, it can be like a bit of a creative streak, or there can be something going on within like relationship stuff. I was also seeing the Empress and I was seeing Page of Cups, so you can be feeling like good within yourself, but I see it being like especially a vibe thing that you can be experiencing, or this can be something that's soon to come. What that means as well is that if you had been hitting like a little bit of a dry spot emotionally or creatively, it can be a time when that like sort of comes back online for you too. We are starting off with Seven of Wands. I feel like you are shining so brightly right now, that everybody's kind of like taking a bit of a step back. Maybe there's something that you're getting a move on with. This also speaks about like a burst of energy too that you can be having. But it feels deliberate having that Seven of Wands there. And I'm also seeing the Fool. So with that being said, you can be maybe like doing some risk taking here a little bit. You can be feeling adventurous. You can be trying something new. You can be going for something that you want to go for. This feels like a really important testing of the waters right now. Where you can feel actually even a bit electrified within the energy having this combination here. It can be a time when whatever boost it was that you needed is there now, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I got to do it right now. That can be the feeling with this. But this can be something that you'd been working on. I kind of get that a little bit from the Seven of Wands here, where this doesn't just feel random and it doesn't feel 100% spontaneous. It feels kind of like if you were to look back, I think you would know that things were going in this direction, but now can be a point when like a big thing happens, or like something significant or something important, or like maybe before you had been taking little steps and now you're going to take a huge step. It can be something like that that's going on within the energy, but it feels purposeful the way that this is coming through. And I see you being more willing and more open in general. With the Fool, you can feel like a little bit of a newcomer with whatever this is. So you see how the Fool is just a little baby? There can be something going on with that where you feel like at the beginning, or there's a newness to it, like not fully seasoned yet. But that's something that's going to be developing. And I'm seeing a Two of Cups. So what this means is that when we have Uranus next to Two of Cups, this is something that you're just giving yourself permission to go in the direction of, no matter what it may be, because you feel like it's kind of the other half of your soul right now. So there will be something about this that you're like, I may not know a whole lot about this. I may not even totally understand, but I have like such an intuition about this that I belong together with this, and I'm meant to be connecting with this right now. And when I'm just giving myself permission and I'm trusting myself and I'm totally tuned into my instinct, I know that to be true for me. Having a Two of Cups is something that you can also find to be like emotionally fulfilling as well. So whether this be somebody that you want to connect with, or be like a creative project that you're getting into, or a choice that you're making, there's gonna be something within that where you'll feel like this golden thread between you and whatever this is that you want to kind of like bring in and get closer with. It's reminding me in Lady and the Tramp, the moment with the spaghetti, how they get closer and closer. It's kind of that moment here that you can be having with whatever this is, where you felt like that line, that thread, that tether, and you want to kind of close the distance now. But having the Fool there can mean that you have to be open and you have to be brave and you have to be willing if that's going to be something that happens, which means that maybe vulnerability is required, maybe taking a chance is required, maybe doing something you feel a little bit uncomfortable with in it, but it's a good thing. Okay, this isn't like I'm doing something that I feel uncomfortable with and I think this might be wrong. This is more so like this feels so right to me. And yeah, I could maybe be... There's always going to be some sort of risk involved when we have something like that, but only because of the vulnerability factor that would be connected with this. This isn't like I'm putting myself in harm's way in like not a good idea type of way. This is more so like, you don't know, you never know what could happen. I don't know how exactly this is going to go. I'm going to have to kind of be okay with whatever is going to unfold, but I feel like this is the right way. And so I feel like I owe it to myself and maybe this situation, this connection, for me to do that and to explore that and to see what happens. But you don't really know what's going to happen, because when we have the Fool, there's that element of things could go this way, things could go that way. It's a little bit unpredictable, but it can feel more honest than anything, and it can be worth the risk for you because of that. Also, with the Two of Cups, I like to see this as something that we deem as being somewhat rare as well. So like this type of opportunity, it doesn't come by every day. So it can be something that you don't want to dismiss for that reason. This does feel like there's a trade-in that has to happen, though. There's something old that you have to get rid of. And I think that this more so has to do with like centered around self. Like there may be an aspect of yourself that has to be shed, that has to be purged. Like an old skin that has to come off here. But I think more so with the ego and with your psychology is the way that this is feeling. Like, what is now standing in the way of you having this deeper connection? It looks like that's the thing that has to be surrendered. So it's not even so much like getting rid of the old you. It's more so getting rid of what you feel like is no longer you anymore. You could also have something going on in some circumstance that you're in that feels like a little bit of a shakeup, and you could look at things and be like, now's as good a time as any. I see like some sort of disruption happening within your environment that you could look and be like, okay, now is just a good time to be doing this. It may feel a little bit chaotic, but you can feel in some synchronistic way like this is giving you some sort of signal that now is the time for you to be doing this. But it can come in like a little bit of a chaotic way. This means too, if there had been something that you were choosing to connect with before that feels like it's run its course, you can also be handing that over in order to open up to whatever this is that you're looking at. I'm seeing you, it's just like totally 100% focus on this. Like you can't see anything else. Like maybe you feel like this is consuming you a bit here. There can definitely be a level of intensity to it. I do get something where it's like, I didn't expect to be doing this right now, but I feel like this is my cue to do this right now. There's something like that I'm seeing with the energy. But it feels kind of like all of a sudden something's happening and it's like, okay, you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. There's something like that where it can feel like maybe a bit sudden or abrupt, but I see there being a readiness. But you may not feel fully prepared, but you can feel ready. So this doesn't feel like I've been like lining things up and for months and months and months. This feels more so like in my heart and my soul I feel ready, but this also feels like a bit spontaneous to me. I do see this would also be connected with like maybe a huge abrupt change that you're making as well. Okay, but you're not a total newcomer. So even though this can be technically a new situation, I'm seeing a lot of experience that you have that I feel like is very relevant to this, that you've worked for. This looks like a bit of a rebirth that you can be experiencing, going from death to the Fool. So death is that thing that really has run its course now. And then you have the Fool. This is like your next lifetime that you're starting. So this can also be you figuring out the storyline for this. Having Death card will be like a whole show that's ending. So it's not even you going to a next season. This is like an entirely new show that you're stepping into. And I see stuff about figuring out like what are the themes, what are the storylines going to be, like what do I want to get into, and anything is yours here. You get to make this exactly what you want it to be. You really get to decide. So you're not held back by like any loose ends or needing to tie stuff up. This feels like a whole show is over now, and you are not tied or connected with that anymore. So it gets to be just like all new and whatever you want it to be now. That doesn't mean that leaving or closing things off or surrendering them or ending them, that doesn't mean that that part is easy, but it does mean that you would feel it's appropriate for this to be happening. But it could have come in like a bit of a shocking or chaotic way, the way that this is looking to me. And I think overall it's giving you creative freedom that you didn't have before, that now that this is like out of the way, not to say it like that, but it's like now that this isn't standing in the way of anything, you can just full force go towards what it is that you want. I'm seeing the Star coming out. We also have Scorpio, we have Mars, we have Uranus, we have Aquarius, and I'm also seeing a King of Wands here. The word outstanding is coming through with the Star. When I see Star and I see King of Wands and like the Fool going in that direction, this is about you showing up within your life like as if it's yours and you're the main character and you're also the one that's in charge of the things that are happening. Having Seven of Wands be connected with it means that effort does need to be put in. And that you especially have to give yourself permission to be as like honest and authentic as possible. And I know I say that a lot, but it's a huge theme, you know, like when we are not living our lives truly, it's always going to feel like something is off or something is missing, or we'll like have this nagging feeling within. Having the stars giving yourself permission to explore all the things that you want to explore here, and for you to really just be yourself. Where were you maybe held back by the old narrative or the old role or the old identity, which now what you're stepping into is like a complete reset button, and it gets to be like more honest than ever for you. And what is that, and what does that look like? And are you willing to do that? So I see you being more like, there's no hiding away. I'm seeing you be yourself. That's really it. And that there isn't this like playing it small or playing it safe, or like maybe I shouldn't say that so loud. I see a different vibe that you're stepping into here, where you're kind of being as loud as you want to be, not in a disgraceful type of way, it's just in an honest type of way. That doesn't mean that there's a loss of prudence there within the energy, but what it does mean is that there's like not an apologizing for you being yourself and embracing your authenticity. And that you're not holding yourself back or shying away from the things that you want to be connecting with, no matter what it may be. This can be like, I've always wanted to move to Indianapolis, and so I'm going to be moving there, you know, or I like always wanted to connect with this person, and now I'm going to like let myself do that because I've always been curious about that type of relationship with them. Or it can be, you know, like I've always admired people that do this for their career, and it's something that I've always dreamt about, but I never really gave myself permission to do that. Now I'm going to be pursuing that. And I'm seeing it be like, there's this thing specifically about not being held back by old storylines anymore. So whatever those stories were, like I can't do this because I don't normally do that, or because of this, or because this person thinks that's what I should be doing. There's none of that that's going on here. Or like, I've been doing this for 20 years, now I'm going to switch it up. It's like, there's none of that that's happening anymore. Having death is about like closing out the last of the last stuff that needs to be closed out, because you are done with those storylines, so you can fully step into this new one. So I'm seeing you emerging now. But the way that this comes about, it can feel a little bit chaotic, the way that this happens, but it feels very appropriate, actually. And this also means that there's an element of you needing to be brave, you needing to let go and finish up what needs to be finished up, what you know has run its course. And you'll feel that too, because these are storylines you don't want to be playing out anymore. And it's time for you to put them to an end. Like, do you feel happy with those things? Do you feel like it's supportive of you and where you are now? Do you feel like you can fully be yourself within those storylines? Is it what you want? Those things that it's not like that for you anymore, you're closing it out and you're making new rules now. But I think the new rule is just that you're going to be really honest with the stuff that you're connecting with, and you're only going to be connecting with stuff that legitimately resonates with you. Because before it could have been like, well, maybe I should do this because like there's an obligation or whatever. This feels like I'm only going to be connecting with things that like really feel real for me now, and really do feel like they're resonating with me and the stuff that I really want to be connecting with. And I'm just giving myself permission to explore all of those things now. So that means anything that doesn't feel like the Two of Cups for you now, anything that doesn't feel like that bond and that sense of connection and that sense of resonance, it's stuff that you can be letting like float away in the wind now, whatever it may be. And this can be like multiple cycles of going through this. It's like the difference between filling your house and like your aura with stuff out of convenience versus every little thing you chose by hand very deliberately. And like that's what your life is going to look like, and that's what this new chapter is about. And I'm seeing Saturn be here, and I think that, you know, like my best guess for this energy, at least like what makes sense for me in the context of this reading, it's reminding me about how Saturn in Western astrology is moving back into Pisces for a little bit, which is going to be the final endings of the stuff that we need to close out, because it's retrograding back into Pisces. And then it is going to move back into Aries again, and that will be like the real new beginning. And right now is just about like tying up all the loose ends that you need to tie up. And I think you don't have to go searching for them. It's stuff that pops up and you're like, this is not resonating with me, or I'm looking around and this feels out of place, and you're going to be surrendering those things if you move in flow with this type of energy. So yeah, it's when you look around, you're going to feel like things are not around out of convenience, but because you actually want them to be there and you feel happy about those things, and it feels like it makes sense for you now. And the way that you're going to feel about it is like this feeling of wholeness and this feeling of peace and this feeling of, I think, really like comfort and a feeling of being settled within the energy. Because you look around and everything feels like that's what's supposed to be there, and it's just like all the good stuff. That doesn't mean it's always the easy stuff. Sometimes the good stuff is the more difficult stuff for us to do, or we have to be brave, you know, we have to release our fears and not let that control the choices that we're making, or like influence the choices that we're making. So that feels overall like what's happening here. Because I'm thinking about the shift having to do with Saturn, what you may find is that this is going to be a bit of a longer cycle, like months. Like maybe about 6 months or so even, where it's going to be like the final stuff that you feel like that was part of my old life. I'm purging that, different things that pop up where it's like you have to be brave and you really have to go through with it. Having that 7 of Wands there, it's like it's going to feel difficult at times. It can feel hard. There can be mourning, there can be changes, there are going to be releases. Stuff is going to look different, it's going to feel different, but that you're retiring everything that needs to be retired, and that this is like a very radical thing that you're doing within your life, but that it's bringing you home. And anything that is getting in the way of you coming home, these are the things that you are removing now. And that this is the new wave. So I do feel like in a lot of ways you can see many things in your life come full circle, the things that are meant to be released. And you'll also see new beginnings that are happening too. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting and tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.